Yeah, so that's a few years ago.
Yeah,
16 years.
Yeah, we both had hair at that point.
Yeah, we did. That was a long time ago.
You're listening to the Ignite the Frame podcast.
Okay, Rob.
Hi.
We're here with Rob. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do.
I'm a director of photography. I've been doing this for, I want to say about 17 years, 16 years. Not director of photography, but, working my way up through the years and everything. I've worked in film, television, corporate, pretty much everything. Music videos back in the day when they had them.
Nice. How did you get into this? Where did the interest in film and television start?
During high school, I was big into drama and did a lot of theater, a lot of on-stage stuff. I was performing and stuff, but near the end of schooling in high school, I became more of a technical person. I really enjoyed the technical aspect, so kind of threw myself into doing some schooling. I had opened up a small production company pretty much as I was leaving high school. And then after a couple of years of that and realizing, okay, maybe I need to get an education. So I got, a bit of an education and I just moved on from there and just kept going.
Cool.
I was one of the lucky ones that, got to make it in this career. There's as you go through school and stuff, you realize that, a lot of people don't make it and it's challenging,
It is. You got to be willing to hustle and work hard. You got to make connections. I think that's a big part of it, is having those connections, right? And that to survive in the industry. So one of the things, we've worked together for a few years now, and one of the things that I've always really appreciated and admired is your ability to keep calm on set when things go wrong. And the reality is, even with good planning and all that, things go wrong and things get delayed, or someone doesn't show up, or something doesn't work the way you expect, or there's interruptions, or a location you thought you could use isn't available. So what I was hoping we could just talk about today is how do you create that environment? Because I think there's some, certainly it's everyone on a crew, but there's certainly some key roles. Director of photography being, I think, probably one of the most pivotal ones. That contributes to creating something where people can be calm, can get the work done that they need to, but not be panicked, and not because oftentimes what you're doing as a director of photography kind of sets the pace for the day, right? Yeah. Because you need time to light and to do setups and all that. Yeah. So how do you, just in sort of big picture, how do you do that? How do you create an environment where it's not just chaos and people losing their cool on that?
Well, you gotta come in with a good personality and good attitude. That's, with any role within production, being a good person is like a huge part of it. Yeah. And if you come in with a crappy attitude, and people are just not going to want to work with you, you just got to take the right steps forward to be able to get what you can, really. And you're all there working together. So, it's a team effort. And if you're being the person who's not working as a team, then the whole team kind of suffers too. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, the way I see for setting the day up for, being a good day is, showing up on time is a big thing. Yeah. You don't want to start your day caught in traffic and everybody's waiting for you, especially, in a leadership role, everybody's looking for you to be there. Yeah. And, again, that goes with any role on set is you don't have to be crazy, early or anything like that, but give yourself the time to get there, get situated, grab a coffee and chat with some people if you're early or whatever. But, and then also the positive attitude, really, those two things are 90% of what we do is show up and have a good positive attitude.
Have a good attitude. Yeah. Have some good jokes planned.
Yeah. Lots of jokes. I mean, when you work with someone for so long, you probably hear them over and over again, but they're still good when the clients haven't heard it.
Yeah, you refine them over time, right?
Yeah.
like a comedian.
Yeah.
So what do you do when something does go wrong? Because inevitably at some point, something kind of catches you off guard and delays the day, or something takes longer or whatever. How do you manage that? Like, mentally, from a leadership standpoint, what do you do?
Well, from a leadership standpoint, is don't panic, because everybody around you will panic with you if you panic. You have to just stop and say, look, what do we need? What is important? Work with your director or, producers and whatever, and see what is really important if the emergency arises. And then, for me, I like to offer options. I'm not going to say that this is the direct way to do it, but I'm going to come to the director or producer saying, we have, 3 options. We can get shot A, B, C, but unfortunately D might not be able to do. Or, shot D, if it was really good, we don't have to worry about some other things then. And let them decide what they want, because then it gives them ownership, but you kind of come with, ideas. Yeah. Because you can't just panic, and you can't just stand there and do nothing too. Yeah. You got to keep moving. You got to keep,
Yeah, you can't just throw up your hands and say, no, we're not doing this today, right?
Yeah, you got to get something in the can.
Yeah. What do you do? How do you handle it working with people that are challenging? Because we come across that, but I know, with your background working in television and film, you've shared stories over the years of times when, you come across someone who's challenging or difficult or, not aligned with what the production's trying to achieve.
Maintaining a positive thing, even though they might be not so positive in the moment, or a lot of it comes with stress for them too, because they're not used to what we do. And a lot of the times they're, coming in like little stress balls, you know what I mean? And so you just got to kind of maintain the calmness, make sure that you're organized, and a lot of it comes from pre-production and knowing what you're, going to be doing and who you're going to be, working with.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of tailor how your approach is with the person, especially if you've worked with them before and you know that they can be a bit hard to deal with. You might find workarounds that help with that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it comes down to just stress. They're usually stressful scenarios for people that aren't used to doing this. So you got to make them as comfortable as possible. Like for say, if a lot of owners of companies and stuff like that, when we're interviewing them, they're not used to that. Mm-hmm. So they often are the people who are most nervous and and most opinionated of how they look and how they feel and what they're saying. And sometimes we just can't get shots out of them because they're they're not comfortable. Yeah. And a little trick that I have is to say, let's not record. Let's just turn off the cameras and let's just talk about how you would say something, or how you want to approach this, but we don't turn off the cameras. And you step away from the camera so it doesn't look so much that you're recording something, but more talk directly to them, and then you might be able to get a little bit more relaxed answers out of them, and then they can have a second go when you say, hey, let's try this, and then you can try it with them.
It's a lot of kind of psychology, right? Thinking through how do you approach people, how do you work with them to get where they need to be, and I know, having been on both sides of the camera, but the vast majority of time I've been behind the camera. It's how do you get people over that hurdle of feeling I can't do this, I'm so nervous. They're they're kind of in their head a little too much, and get them just to relax and how do we make this a comfortable experience? Yeah. And I know just from feedback that I've gotten from people, with the work that we've done together is that does work to create a calm environment, and that makes a big difference to people, even if they don't realize it at the time. They realize it later that, hey, that was a good experience. Yeah. And they enjoyed it as best they could, or it wasn't as terrible as they thought. That's sometimes the best compliment you can get is, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. What do you do in scenarios where maybe you only have one shot at something. I know sometimes we're filming something where you don't get multiple takes.
Yeah.
How do you plan for that? How do you create, some confidence that you're going to come away with what you need in a scenario like that?
Well, I guess you said it there, is planning. A lot of it is planning and redundancies. Like if you're on a live show, you got to have backups for something goes wrong, what you're going to go to or what you're going to do in those scenarios. Like for audio people, I've seen like multiple like lavalier mics on them. It might look a little silly, like having 2 or maybe even sometimes 3 lavs on someone, but in a live scenario, if one goes down, then like audio is important. I mean, from a lighting guy, I can still say that is, audio is important. And, if that goes down, then there's people are just staring at people. Like
planning's a big,
planning is a huge part of it, and just making sure that you have backups for everything. Like,
yeah. And then it's sort of a similar type question, but how do you plan for the unexpected? Because I know there's times we go into scenarios where we don't know exactly what we're going to face. And then sometimes just things come up where stuff has to change very quickly.
Sometimes those moments are like actually the best moments that you can get, where unplanned and scripted or whatever. A lot of the gold, the magic actually comes from those moments. Something might not go exactly how you planned, but guess what? It might be way better going the other direction, and you're not planned for it, but your ability to adapt in the moment is going to make it so much better.
Yeah. So I know you have a background working in television.
Yeah.
And you've faced scenarios where there's a lot of pressure to deliver something like immediately.
Yes.
And there's people watching.
Yes.
How do you handle that stress?
Yeah.
And how do you have a plan B in mind, or
Gotcha.
even if it's something that evolves as the situation evolves, but how do you manage that? Because there's a lot of pressure when something's live or or close to live. And
well, I mean, don't stop breathing is the main thing, like making sure you're breathing, because a lot of people hold their breath in that scenario.
Yes.
I worked with ET Canada for 10 plus years. I started in lighting, and then near the end I was doing packaging, which is essentially it's a live to tape show. So every day we shoot segments and we have stories, and they all get pieced together at the end of the day. Like we get segments from the editors and the stuff we shot in studio, and then we kind of edit it all together and package it live to tape at the end of the day. And I was doing packaging coordinator, which essentially is I'm the last person to see the show go out before it goes to control and sent out to the world. And often we would get stories that come at the end of the day, like 5 o'clock. And so everything we shot for the entire day has been scrapped, and we're hustling to get the new story up and running. And we would send the first block, which is, commercial blocks of regular television. I don't know if people actually watch television these days. It's like 4 or 5 hours difference between East Coast and West Coast. Yeah. So the show's already airing on the East Coast, and we haven't finished the show yet. Yeah. And we're still packaging the second and maybe even the third block. And if we make any mistake while we're live packaging, I have to go and correct all those mistakes before it gets sent out. And if I didn't get it sent out in time, well, it would just go black on the East Coast. Like they wouldn't have a show. So in those scenarios, it's just like breathing, focus, and, just making sure that you're, sweat the details, but don't stay on them. Like you got to keep moving. It just comes down to like a lot of times just maintaining your focus, working as a team to get things done. Sometimes I call in editors to help me in those processes if I'm falling behind as packager. They might come in and clean something up for me or do something to help move the process, because I was working two computers at the time, because I was running our clips for what we're doing like live and then editing the fixes that were messing up while I'm doing that. So it's like,
goodness.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any hair left.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress.
Yeah, but you're a team and you're working together. I said that it all comes down to me, but it really doesn't. It's like a team effort, making sure everything goes well and understanding what we can actually achieve, under stressful scenarios like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing your stuff is really important there, I guess. And knowing what you've got to rely on, I think is really important. Yeah. People, in that case, like knowing, okay, we have this backup here. We can do this, we can do that. I know when we're planning projects now, we're always thinking about like, okay, if this doesn't work, if this location isn't good or the weather's not good or, the light doesn't cooperate or there's construction unexpectedly, what's our backup plan? Yeah. And, sometimes those are not written down plans, but you're kind of always thinking like, hey, how do we pivot if we need to? Yeah. Because ultimately, whether it's something live like this, where there's, thousands or hundreds of thousands of people watching, or working, creating content for an organization, you want to make sure you come away with stuff, right? Like you have to make sure you deliver.
That's your job, just to come away with something.
Yes.
Quality in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Not, just kind of throw up your hands and go, oh, well, whatever. It didn't work
Maybe
today.
Another day.
We'll try it again tomorrow. You can't do that.
So I was on my first feature film that I was doing, as just a technical person. I was just doing lighting, one of the tech crews. We were shooting a 360 shot in this rotunda of this multi-million-dollar mansion. It's not even a house. It was huge. Mm-hmm. On the first floor, we had the actors and the camera that would circle them. And then above, we had like an open circle that we hung lights over them to light them from above, so you don't see any stands and everything in there.
Yeah, cool.
And they were pressuring us to like move quickly, get out of there because we only had so much time. And there I am, new guy up there with this boom arm hanging over everything. And I swung the arm over and I took the head off, like the light off. And I didn't even think about the counterbalance. And it went boom, right into the ceiling of this multi-million-dollar house. And I thought, well, there it is. Like I'm on my first feature film and it's going to be my last. But my lead was like, honestly, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
This stuff they plan for because like, we're rushing. Yeah. You're pushing through, trying to get the shots for the day. Yeah. Something that's going to happen. And whether it's you, it could be the most skilled person on set. Sometimes, it happens. Yep. And I was originally worried that I was going to be liable because it's some mansion. And they're like, no, we have insurances for that. We have things that take care of that. Will I make that mistake again? Never. Not that mistake, but like, like I felt better after that. They're like, it's not your fault. We're rushing you. Like, let's just make sure we're safe still and carry on. Yeah.
Hey, I think all of us have stories like that, right? Of where something went wrong and you realize afterwards, oh, that was a really dumb mistake. Yeah. I really screwed something up.
Learn from it and move on.
And you learn from it and move on. And it's amazing when it can be in an environment where there is someone that's kind and gracious and says, it's okay, keep going. Yeah. We'll get through it. That's a really nice,
because especially if they came up to me with a negative thing, like, oh, how could you do that? Like, like who's going to benefit? Like how are we going to move on from that? Like,
Yeah. It makes your day even worse and makes you feel even worse and takes the whole vibe down quite a bit of the production. So what advice do you give someone starting out in the industry? I know this isn't necessarily the audience of the podcast, but I know we get often asked by people, that are interested in film, television, production, where do I go? How do I get started? What do you tell people?
Well, there's no concrete proof of like, I can't just say go to school or, because there's different ways that you can get in. There's no right or wrong answer of how to get in. Mm-hmm. But again, it really has to do with showing up on time is a huge thing. It's like 50% of the day is making sure you're there. And then also being a good person. Yeah. Like you have to, be a nice person. You have to be a good person. Nobody's going to want to work with you if you're throwing things or, and the big thing is never run on set. There's never a reason for you to run. Like if you're like hustling, I get it, but you don't have to run, and you're making unsafe scenarios for people if you are.
Yes.
But the main thing is show up and be a kind person and understand that there's other people doing stressful things around you, and they might be stressed too, but don't add to it.
Yeah.
You know, and just being a good person is just a huge, huge part of it that doesn't get talked about a lot.
Yeah.
But I could tell you, like, a lot of the people that have a career in this industry are decent people.
Yeah.
You know, at least the people I work with, you know, like, I still have people that, like, we've worked for so long.
Yeah.
You know I went off and did TV and stuff, but I'm able to come back to you and work with you because I know that, you know, you're a decent person and that you're always going to care about what's going on, and each individual person, you know, caring about, you know, everybody on set, and, you know, not just the client, and, you know.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and I'll often say something similar to people when they ask, you know, how do I get into this industry? It's like, be nice, work hard, show up, be willing to do the crappy jobs, because there's often, you know, a lot of it is work, right? And just having the right attitude and willingness to, you know.
Because if you come onto set and you have questions and stuff, you're working under me or what have you, I'm not going to be upset with you that you have questions or that you don't know something. There's a lot of things that I don't know. Yeah. You know, there's just too much to you know, everybody works differently too. So, like, it's just be a good person.
That sums it up.
Yeah.
In general, in life, yes. Yeah. But yeah, cool. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you about you want to talk about?
We could talk about, something that happened recently, and how we prepared for that.
Sure.
My mom recently passed away, and we were on set when kind of I got the news. And she had been in and out of the hospital for, you know, years, months, but, you know, leading up to it, we had a few shoots that I was like, hey, I got to have my phone on. And, like, you know, like, I'm her only child, and, like, I have a duty to do, because, you know, your family always comes first.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's something that gets a little lost in this industry, is, like, you know, family, you know, it's first.
Yeah.
And I know, working with you, that, you know, that's something that you take into heart a lot too. So coming into the day when this happened, she was in the hospital, and we'd been through this before, and I told you, like, you know, I may have to take a phone call, or, you know, I may have to prepare to leave if something goes wrong. So we made sure that we had, you know, appropriate crew, that if I did had to leave, then you weren't just left in the dust. I made sure, you know, had my vehicle with me, and then any gear that I brought could still be taken, and any people that I brought could still be taken by you, and the day would still go, you know, and if it couldn't go, then I would find someone to replace me fully, and I wouldn't have gone. Yeah. But, you know, as it happened, you know, I got the phone call, and I was able to leave with like 3 or 4 words to you. Yeah. You know, and everything, you still got the day done, and I got to have like 4 hours with my mom before she passed, which is like the best thing you could ever ask for anything. You know, like, I am so grateful for that. Yeah. But it all came down to, like, making sure that you had everything planned. Like, there was a shitty scenario that you couldn't avoid, and making sure that everything lines up. And it still comes from the pre-production, like, knowing, you know, I can't control everything, but what I can control, I will, you know.
Yeah, being prepared in scenarios, whether it's something, you know, major life moments like that, or smaller things, you know. There's times where things come up where someone has to slip away to take a phone call, or, you know, little things, but being able to be well prepared to handle those and manage those, so it doesn't, you know, so someone can be there for their family, or, you know, and do what they need to do, but also, you know, so that the production is minimal, you know, total disruption in that, even though people are very understanding when something like that happens, right? I think just being able to plan for things like that is really, really important. And,
to, like, you know, to help your people when they're in need. Like, I know, like, you lost your dad last year, and you know, your whole crew was right behind you, awesome. And like, you know, because it's like you know, like,
you guys totally stepped up and took over and made sure things happened, and you know, I got nothing but really positive comments from clients that, you know, knew what had happened, and that were pretty open and transparent with things. But to be able to step away and know that things are in good hands, and that you know, the job's going to get done. It's going to get done with excellence, and that is really, really reassuring, and really helps you, you know, kind of deal with what you need to deal with in life, but then, you know, also kind of really be confident in what you're doing from a production standpoint, that, you know, no matter what happens, we'll all get through this, and we got each other's back, right? So
that's what it's all about. And again, it's about being a good person. You know, like someone's going through the worst day of their life. Like, why make it any stressful on them? You know,
definitely. Appreciate you sitting down talking about this. And, you know, I know, I think we're pretty aligned. I think the rest of the people that we work with regularly are pretty aligned with the idea that, you know, creating a really good environment on set is really, really important. Creating something that people, you know, want to be part of and enjoy being part of, that it's a pleasant day, and that we get the job done. But most importantly, that people come away with a good feeling, that it wasn't horrible, that wasn't stressful, there was no screaming and no tears.
I don't know how people run production companies out of fear and, you know, like stress, because you're not going to be able to maintain your clients that way. You know, it's just not. No. You know,
and it's just not a pleasant way to work.
Yeah,
and
who wants to work like that?
Yeah,
you know? Like,
it's not how. Certainly how I want to spend my life. I want to enjoy. I think the majority of us got into this because we love the business and we're passionate about it. And I think having an environment where, you know, we can enjoy what we're doing, be creative, have fun, but also do really good work is really important.
Yeah, so. Creativeness is still a process. Like, there's still not a defined line, you know, but you can just take care of whatever you can. And then just create. And that's the best part, is that we get to go out and create and have fun doing it. You know, it's a dream job, really. It's amazing.
I agree. Yeah. On that note, thank you for sitting down and talking. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to our conversation today. We'd love it if you'd follow and give us a rating. The Ignite the Frame podcast was produced by Atomic Spark.